Hello, everyone. Today, this intro is going to sound familiar because we are here once again to talk about the newest suspense thriller from BlumHouse, which is kind of funny. The past few movies I've seen these past weeks was jumping between BlumHouse and A24, which really gave me some perspective as to how each of these companies try to release their movies. A24 movies is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you's gonna get, but you do know that usually the second half of the chocolate's gonna be rotten, weird, have a dick hanging out of it somewhere, and be very uncomfortable overall. Whereas Blumhouse tries to tell a complete story with believable characters that do more than just lay and shit on themselves for 2 hours straight. We are talking about Speak No Evil. Speak No Evil follows the story of Ben and Louise Dalton, who, while on a summer vacation getaway, run into the couple Patty and Ciara, who are young, confident, trying to have fun, and very much in love. Noticing the stark contrast in their own relationship, Dan and Louise are quickly drawn to the charisma of the young couple. After getting home and receiving an invitation from Patty and Ciara to join them in their countryside home, Ben and Louise decide to take another trip. Once they get to Patty and Ciara's home, this is where the movie really takes kind of a tonal shift. Once in the house, Louise and Dan start to notice things are not vibing with what the couple said originally, wondering to themselves why a successful doctor like Patty is living in a podunk broke down shack in the middle of nowhere. And this is where my biggest issue with the movie begins, because as soon as they get there, Louise kind of notices, hey, none of this makes sense. This is like a shed. He's supposed to be rich. He like punches his son while he says he loves him, while Dan is the most gullible, dumbass pushover I've possibly ever seen in a movie before. He'll watch as Patty screams at his son, beats him, and throws potatoes at him for not being on beat with a chicken dance, and Dan will just be like, but honey, he was out of beat. I mean, it's supposed to be a performance here, right? And this is kind of the formula for a good majority, maybe 2/3 of the movie. And although I appreciate the slow build-up to create suspense, and this movie did a great job with it, by the time they get to the reveal, you already feel like it should have been resolved at this point. They just rinse and repeat so many times of everyone around Dan, fucking Dan, except for Dan noticing that stuff's going wrong, and no matter how many times they leave, fucking Dan always drags them back, literally crawling to Patty. Please, Patty, take me, kissing his foot. Take me back, Patty. All right, spoiler alert, everyone. I fucking hated Dan, and he ruined my experience. Oh, his name's Ben. So after the reveal that James McAvoy is a total psychopath, and that his son and wife are both just past victims of his that he keeps around as pets, it's up to Ben and Louise to get their daughter, the boy with no tongue, and to get the heck out of there. Except you see, Ben is present. So it's not until they are already captured, his family already has a shotgun pointed at them, and he's already chained up about to be injected with poison before he finally looks at Patty and says, "But Patty, what's the hospital gonna think of this?" So it is now up to Louise and the children to get Ben out of there, which is actually kind of exciting watching Louise take out all the bad guys by herself. She becomes Rambo out of nowhere, hiding in the shadows, setting up traps, doing hand-to-hand guerrilla combat. It's fantastic. And then the movie ends with Ben still not being able to get his first kill. The boy with no tongue needs to step in and do it for him in a wonderfully brutal display of bashing James McAvoy's head in with a rock and screaming insanely. Now, I feel a little conflicted when it comes to this movie because its greatest strength is also its biggest weakness. The gradual building of suspense was done very well to develop the character's story and threat throughout the movie, but where it went wrong was it felt like the burn was too slow with the fire too hot. All of the things that they were letting James McAvoy and his wife get away with from the beginning was just stuff that I felt nobody would ever allow. Like them basically kidnapping your children and sleeping with them in their beds, beating their kids, lying about their job, emulating sex in front of you, trying to have orgies. And that's just the first act. It only escalates more and more throughout the movie to the point where my suspension of disbelief was just gone. I fell out of it, which is why I give this movie an official check it out in theaters at a discount. And if you happen to see that a movie about an old lady shitting herself for 2 hours is playing at the same time, go see that instead. Thanks for watching, everybody. Subscribe if you liked it.